My name is Catherine. Standing in the middle of the apartment that once felt like a shared haven, I look at the man in front of me, his face a mask of guilt and confusion. His name is Ryan, and we've been together for 3 years. But right now, it feels like we're strangers. He's just admitted to having feelings for another woman, a colleague named Lily. The shock of it still hasn't fully sunk in. I thought our relationship was built on trust and mutual respect, but it turns out I was wrong. As I look back on our relationship, I realize that the signs were there all along. It started about 4 months ago. Ryan works in the tech industry, often traveling for conferences and client meetings. I've always respected his career and his ambition. His independence was one of the things that drew me to him. But then, things started to change. He'd come home from trips more tired than usual, and his answers to my simple questions became shorter and more defensive. I remember asking him how a conference went, and he sighed as if I was interrupting something important. Questions that I'd asked for years, like what time will you be home? Or did you eat? Suddenly annoyed him. I tried to convince myself that I was imagining it, that he was just stressed from work. But 3 weeks ago, everything came to a head. He was supposed to come home from a conference in New York on Monday night, but his flight got delayed, and he didn't return until Tuesday afternoon. When he dropped his suitcase by the door, I smiled and asked casually, "How was the conference? Everything okay with the delay?" He snapped at me, "Why do you always need to know where I am?" The words hit me like a punch in the gut. I was genuinely confused. I told him that I was just asking because I cared, but he said it was tracking. He said he needed space and that I needed to back off. That night, lying in bed beside him, I made a decision. I would give him exactly what he wanted. The next morning, I didn't text him good morning. When he left for work, I didn't ask about his meetings. That evening, when he came home, he found me reading on the couch. He asked, "How was your day?" I simply replied, "Good," without looking up. Over the next few days, I gave him the space he asked for. I stopped asking questions, stopped checking up on him. At first, he didn't seem to notice. But by Thursday, he started to fidget. He'd hover in doorways longer than necessary, sit beside me on the couch, and scroll through his phone louder than usual, waiting for me to say something. That weekend, I decided to leave. I didn't announce it, didn't leave a note. I packed a small bag and booked a flight to visit my best friend, Jake, in Miami. When the plane took off, I felt a sense of relief. For the first time in months, I didn't have to worry about where Ryan was or what he was doing. In Miami, I had a great time. Jake and I ran along the beach, drank strong coffee, and spent the afternoon at a rooftop pool. I posted a picture of the skyline on Instagram, and within hours, my phone started buzzing. Ryan was calling and texting, demanding to know where I was. I ignored his calls and texts at first. But around 1 o'clock in the morning, I finally replied, "You said I was too controlling. I figured you'd appreciate not having to tell me where I am." He called immediately, but I declined. When I got home on Monday evening, Ryan was waiting for me in the apartment. He demanded to know where I'd been, and I calmly told him I'd been in Miami visiting Jake. He was angry, saying that I should have told him. But I reminded him that he'd asked me to stop checking up on him. In the argument that followed, I finally saw the truth. This wasn't about space, it was about control. He'd been pulling away, avoiding my questions, and making me feel like I was the one in the wrong. But when I gave him the space he asked for, he panicked. He finally admitted that there was someone else at work. Her name was Lily, and they'd been talking a lot. He said it started as work stuff but then became personal. He claimed that nothing physical had happened, but I could tell that he wanted it to. We talked for hours that night. He admitted that they'd crossed lines and talked about being together. When I asked him if he loved her, he said he didn't know. That was the final straw for me. By midnight, we agreed on space. Real space. Ryan packed a bag and went to stay with his sister. Before he left, he whispered, "I never wanted to hurt you." But I knew that he had. The first morning without Ryan felt strange. The apartment was quiet, and there was no more unspoken tension. I woke up before my alarm, made coffee the way I liked it, and stood by the window, watching the city go by. Over the next few days, I focused on myself. I went to work, went to the gym, and called friends I'd neglected. Jake checked in on me every night, and I told him that I was clearer. At the end of the week, we met at a coffee shop. Ryan looked tired and thinner. He said he'd been thinking about us and that he had feelings for Lily. He said he didn't know if it would work between them, but he couldn't keep lying to me or himself. I asked him if he wanted to end our relationship, and he nodded. I saw the relief in his eyes. I told him that I didn't deserve this, and he agreed. We talked about the logistics of moving out, the lease, and the furniture. 3 months have passed since then. I got a promotion at work, and I've started dating again. I met a guy named Alex. He's 33, a graphic designer, and he's direct and honest. When I ask him how his day was, he answers without defensiveness. I heard through mutual friends that Ryan and Lily dated for about 6 weeks. They realized they didn't have much in common once the secrecy was gone. Ryan tried to reach out to me once, but I didn't respond. I'm not interested in being someone's fallback plan. Looking back, I don't regret the 3 years I spent with Ryan. They taught me what I need in a relationship and what I won't tolerate. Care isn't control, and honesty isn't optional. Love should make you feel safe, not guilty. The apartment still feels different, but it's a good different. It's a place where I can be myself, without having to walk on eggshells. And every time I think about that weekend in Miami, I'm reminded of the day I reclaimed myself.